One thing that's kind of staring me in the face right now is a little calendar application, and then also this little thing right here. I don't even know if we've talked about this. This is a bunch of people in a line, 3 little people in a line, and an arrow. This is called the customer queue. This deals with time. Guess what it is? Check in, check out, start the cart. How long did it take? Like, you're tracking all these little pieces of time. Would you like me to just jump into that for a microsecond?
Sure.
Okay, great. We're going to actually just kind of click on the queue for just a quick second. And right now it looks like I still have Fred in there, but he's been in there a long, long time. Let's see when we actually did him. I'm going to click Edit. Fred was actually put in on 3/6, and I must have changed something here, and so he automatically didn't get flushed out. I'm just going to go ahead and say manual close. Let's get him out of there. And so now I have a fresh queue, okay? Say it's the start of the day and somebody wants to come in and actually see what's going on in the queue. The first thing I need to do is actually search for a customer. If you're not doing it by customer and you just want a general like, hey, it's the redhead, hey, it's the blonde, hey, it's the person in orange, you can technically, ideally it's best if it's done to a customer, but if you wanted to just do a generic one, you could go just like this. Bam. You add the placeholder, and what it does is it basically says, oh, here's my general one, and it gets a number for them, okay? Every single day, your numbers will start over again. And so at this point in time, if I wanted to, say I wanted to make it a little bit more descriptive, I could even come in here, and so, yes, ma'am, I've got you. Go ahead and have a seat. I'll be right with you. And be like, this is the lady in red, or whatever like that, okay? Maybe she's wearing yellow. Okay, and you can just add that little piece to it, and what it does is it kind of helps you know who it is. It's technically not even assigned to a customer, but it's a general one. Another one comes in, and you're like, oh, sweet, come on in. Okay, perfect. Have a seat. I've got you clocked in. I'll tell so-and-so that you're here, or whatever's happening. It just kind of depends. And then you come in, and you could kind of come in here and be like the bald guy. I would be careful what you do here, but I'm just trying to, just for fun, okay? Just kind of recording these records. So basically I'm creating a queue. And these were just generic customers and just kind of general placeholders. But what it does is it actually starts calculating my time as far as like how many seconds, how many minutes, have I done anything with them, have I created a new cart, have I added a new element of time for them. Like it's basically a what's going on type of deal. Okay. If I hit refresh this page, you'll notice that just because I've been talking, these values are going to go up. They're not automatically showing in front of you with these little calculations happening. But if I hit refresh this page, this has now been 1:60, and this one's almost been a minute since I've added it, okay? So basically it starts tracking this little piece of time as far as what's happening. Say a customer comes in, and he's a good customer. We've been playing with one called Mikkel, and just in case anybody wants to know who Mikkel is, it's actually my sister, well, a different sister. And so we've just kind of been having fun with her. But I'm just going to kind of a portion of her name and hit go. It pulls up Mikkel. I have a couple different options. If I hit Q, it'll go right to the queue. Okay. I'll do it a couple times so you can see. Boom. She instantly gets added to the queue, and she's now down below because these other ones are technically ahead of her. Okay. And basically you got to think of the little people in the line. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? I'm going to show you another way to get somebody in a queue. If you're not from the queue and say you're totally somewhere else different, and you're like, hey, I've got a customer here and I want to search for somebody. My next customer comes in, and say this one happens to have the name of Jim. Hey, Jim, how you doing? And I select Jim. Jim, can you remind me of what your zip code is? Oh, okay, perfect, no problem. You could either go queue or you could actually go in detail. Let's see what Jim has here real quick. Oh, Jim, it looks like I don't have much information on you. I need to get some information. So instead of putting him in the queue right now, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. But look at this little guy right here, okay? As soon as I add, Jim, let's just check your address right here. Jack and Flash Lane, it looks like, huh? Looks like, is that still where you live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming? I'm not even sure who put this one in. I'm actually going to check, just for fun. The person's just sitting in front of me, and we're just kind of chit-chatting. And I'm like, who in the heck put this in? Guest. Okay, somebody else was playing, okay? This is just a play site, but I was just kind of curious who did that. But in the meantime, I'm just sitting here talking to him. Okay, yeah, great. let's just edit that information really quick, and we'll get you on the thing. Okay, is your last name really Jimbo? Like you're basically just in here kind of tweaking some of, and your email is still jiminy@jimbo.com. Perfect, perfect. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Okay. Dog wants to fight. Okay, I'm just gonna or whatever you needed to do. I'm just kind of teasing right now, just kind of for fun. But you're basically editing from the customer log, and customer, you got to realize, is totally a corp-wide setting, so you can kind of tweak it out to yourself. There's an add to queue right from there. Okay. So I was just tweaking his stuff. I just took his notes off, and I say add him to the queue. So there's a multiple different ways of actually adding different people to the queue. I searched Mikkel directly. I actually did Jimbo from his log. I did these guys as generics. Now technically what you could have is somebody else could actually be on the other spot who's actually servicing these things. Okay, who's next? Oh, the lady in yellow. Lady in yellow, ma'am, can you please come here? I'm going to help service you, okay? At that point you could kind of be like this. Start a new cart for her. What does she want? She likes hot tamales, just like I do, okay? We quickly search it. Ma'am, how many hot tamales would you like? Shannon, I'm going to ask you, how many hot tamales would you like? And these are boxes,
15.
by the way. 15 boxes of hot tamales. Yes, I love it. You say add. Okay, how would you like to pay for that? Anything else you would like?
Oh, that's good.
Okay, and how would you like to pay?
Check.
It's check, $13.63. Go ahead and make that out to the play site. Okay, oh, you said check, huh? Okay, no problem. And what's that check number that you're going to write?
321.
Perfect, thanks. We'll just go ahead and create that invoice. Here's your thing. I hit print. It comes out. I send you on your way, and I'm ready to do the next one, okay? Or if I wanted to, I can even click the queue. Who's next? What happened to number 1?
Taking care.
She's gone. If I wanted to, watch this. If I wanted to actually do an advanced search, if I can come back here, it actually has a whole bunch more information, okay? What happened? Who did it? What did it do? What was it tied to? Et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense, kind of like what's going on?
Yeah.
So basically, it'll automatically disappear. It also, if I just go back to the normal queue, either here or here, there's tons of different ways to get to it. What ends up happening is I actually even have a 2-hour auto cleanup. So if somebody's in here and it's like, say it's taking forever and ever, you can actually set these. You can say, hey, I never want it to be cleaned out, or I want it to clean up every 15 minutes, or whatever. It's a corp-wide setting, another setting and permission type thing. Or if I need to remove something, say this bald guy, say he actually walked out, and you're like, you know what, he's no longer here. I'm just going to remove him out of my queue. That was a manual remove, okay? You can also go in to edit some of these things and add extra notes and details, whatever you wanted to do. But what I'm going to do, just so you can see what other people see, is I'm going to start a cart for Mikkel here, and then I'm going to actually, once it's started, I'm going to go ahead and sell her some Snickers bars. And how many does Mikkel want? Say she just wanted 1, or we'll just go 1. Okay? 1, looks like you owe me 93 cents, please. And before I hit checkout, watch this. If I was somebody else and I actually went to the queue, guess what I would see now? I would see that somebody is actually working on Mikkel's stuff. And I'm just going to hit refresh on this page here. I think it thinks that I'm on the same thing. But it should basically say, and I'm not exactly.
That's because it's not someone different?
It might be because it's just me and I've got the cart. But if it was actually somebody else, it should technically say, hey, started by so-and-so. So watch this. I'm going to quickly log out. Okay. Actually, there's a cart that started here. I'm going to have to clear it even to log out. I'm going to log out and come back into the same play site as a different person. I just wanted to show you what they would see. If they click on the queue, okay, and it's coming in here, and actually I don't see any of the pieces that I was looking for. So,
but you cleared her cart, so.
Okay, correct. And so, let's actually, I was just kind of curious, and maybe I just need to kind of review it. It's been a little while since I've been in there, but basically it should actually say, hey, a cart was started type thing. So I would actually have to kind of go back in there and be like, okay, I'm going to play with this and see what's going on type of deal or something.
Is that when you have 2 users, though?
Well, yeah, I just logged in as a different person. I'm in the same company now, but technically I'm in as a different person or a user. but it would be nice to see if somebody else had already serviced that person or what was going on. And so it technically should exist, and I would just have to kind of come in here and play and kind of review, like, okay, what is going on? And let's do this. We're going to start the new cart, and it's to Mikkel. So technically, it should automatically start doing some of my stuff.
If you saved it as a quote instead of clearing it, then would it show you're helping her actively?
No, I don't. It should be able to show it as what's going on because it technically should flag it. And basically what I'm doing right now with Shannon is I'm talking through some of like, okay, what's really going on here? Because I thought that it was going to work like this. And so I would have to kind of come in here and check it out. But this is kind of what we would do and just play with the different little pieces of the puzzle. That makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of go back to the cart right here. Okay, this is actually what I was looking for. I'm not sure why I didn't do it earlier, but basically started the new cart. Okay, it should tell me, and so even if I log in as somebody else, it should technically tell me that. I'm not sure why I didn't do it at the first time. I was like, oh no, what's going on? Okay, and it may just be a refresh deal as well. But basically, as this page gets refreshed, these times will basically continue to increment. How long has it been? And I'm doing it quick enough right now, it may not even look like anything is going on. But we're actually in the minutes at this point in time. But long story short, I'm going to actually log out of this one, which will actually prompt me to clear the cart, but it should still keep this piece assigned. And basically, if I try to log out and I have a cart, it'll prompt and say, are you sure? You still have something that's hasn't been done yet. And I'm going to say, you know what, go ahead and just clear that thing. You're fine. And it may be because I cleared it that it actually went back and said, okay, maybe I'm going to reverse it out there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out, and I'm going to come back in as an administrator. And what I'm actually doing right now while we're looking is I'm actually kind of debugging / playing with this feature so I can remember how it works. We're going to go back into the Use for Testing playground. Come in, I get my cue, and I should be able to click on it. Click. Okay, and I could actually see that guest was the one who actually went in and started that cart. That's what I was hoping to see originally. So there must have just been a small refresh issue or whatever. That's what I was hoping to see. Basically, as soon as the whole cart gets finished, it ends up getting fully tied and done all the way through, and it'll turn it off. So let's say that guest is servicing Mikkel. I could now come in and talk to Jiminy Jimbo, and I can do his cart. And say for his particular cart, we've been adding lots of stuff quickly through here. I'm just going to show you another little way. What if I clicked on Add Item? And Jiminy Jimbo, he actually wanted something, and it was going to be $50 worth of labor. Okay? And what did I do for Jimbo right here, just for fun? Any ideas?
Yes, you decorated his car.
So a custom paint job, right?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Bet he wouldn't look fondly upon it being called decorating.
Yeah. So basically a $50 paint job, that's got to look awesome. So we'll add that to the cart. Basically, there's lots of different ways here, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and hit checkout for Jimbo. Come in here. He's going to pay cash. And I say create the invoice. So as I'm walking through this process, guess what it's actually doing in the background? It's tracking. It's sticking little pieces into the puzzle. As soon as I hit create invoice, this is the invoice right here. This is just the smaller version of it. But if I click here so you can see my pieces, it put a history under Jimmy. Hey, I've got a new invoice assigned to me, okay? I created a new invoice. That's a new table. I assigned it to a location. I assigned it to a user. I assigned it to a salesperson. I created a type for that invoice. I added an item that's a totally separate subcategory of invoices. I had a $50 cash payment that currently hasn't been deposited that's sitting there waiting, and then I'm able to just kind of show the whole thing at once, okay? So technically that's what it's doing. If I go back to my queue, it'll basically just still say, hey, guest is still working with Mikkel on her particular cart. Mine's gone, and if I went and actually said, hey, what do we got going on here? It'll actually say, my Jimbo Jimmy one, here's how long it totally took me for the whole thing was 8 minutes and 32 seconds. Rough. It's not 32 seconds. It's 8.32 minutes. Okay, it's converted into a hundreds rather than 60s. If that makes sense.
That's cool. It tells you your action time too, so how long it took you to actually do the
Between the different pieces of what's actually happening, there's a bunch of information there and stuff. So that's just a little teeny bit about the customer queue. Okay. So at this point, let's say that this one's done. I'm just going to go ahead and remove it so it's physically gone. And that way I don't have to log back in and log back out. But that's kind of a quick little overview of the queue. And that's what that little line is right there. If you don't want the queue in your entire application, watch this. Corp-wide settings. And there's actually a whole section that deals with the customer queue. Okay? Customer queue settings. Do you want to use it? Yes, no? So if I say hide, all of these other things will totally change. Okay? So what I'll do now is I'll actually come down and I'll resubmit this particular setting. And I will now lose my queue option. It automatically is gone. And watch this. If I now search for a customer, say I had Mikkel. Remember how I used to have options right here that said queue? Or if I went to the log, I had like a little button that said add to the queue. Because I changed one little setting, that little setting cascades itself all throughout the whole system. So it's kind of interesting how some of that stuff works. That's how permissions and settings work. And that's that type of thing. So awesome. We've been kind of just rolling for about an hour and a half. Why don't we see if there's any questions? And if there aren't, I'd like to take a little break and then kind of go on to the next piece. What I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of having fun rolling over concepts unless somebody actually has a question. And as a side note, I think we've had a great training session. This is kind of getting towards, we've got about another couple hours out of a multi-day training session. We have covered all sorts of stuff. We've virtually taken a small tour of the Adilas world, and so it's kind of been kind of fun. And when I say the Adilas world, what I'm referring to is kind of like this concept that fiction writers and science fiction writers and fantasy writers use. It's called world building. So we don't know what dragons and centaurs and all that kind of stuff do, but what they do is they have to create this concept so that we can kind of understand, oh yeah, I could see how that could be a problem. Oh, that's a good idea. Ooh, I didn't think about that angle. It's technically, it's its own world type deal. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Think of it as the Adilas globe of death. No, just kidding. It's actually like a data sphere. A data sphere. It's not the globe of death. That was a terrible idea. I think I need to take a break.
Globe of Wonder.
Globe of Wonder. Okay, there you go. Were there any questions, Shannon, before we take a break?
No.
Okay, perfect.